And if you get a chance, and Naza, thank you for recording. That's awesome. If you get a chance, please put in the chat window where you're calling in from today. It'd be great to see where people are chiming in from, because oftentimes we get a number of people from 5, 6, 10 different countries coming into these things. So it's great to sort of say hi and let us know where you're coming in from. So as I mentioned, my connection is pretty weak right now, so I'm going to back away and let the Naza and Sam take the reins. So thanks very much. And oh, one last thing. If you do get kicked off during the meeting, don't worry, we're monitoring the wait list. And as soon as you get back in, we will let you back into the training session. Okay, so we'll have somebody monitoring that as well. If you have questions while the training is going on, please put them into chat. And periodically throughout the presentation, Naza and Sam will be pausing to collect those questions and answer anything that may come up. Okay, so with that, I'll hand it over to our presenters. Thanks, guys.
Perfect, thank you. I will start. I'm just going to share my screen. All right, thank you everyone who is attending right now. I want to remind everyone there will be a recording of this, and we'll post it both to the YouthMappers YouTube channel, and we'll also send it to you along with these slides so you can reference them later if you have any questions or want any of these links. All right. So first, we're going to go through a few reminders on how to set up JOSM. JOSM might look different to everyone if you have a Windows or a Mac computer, but all the important tools that we're going to be going over should generally be in the same area. This GIF demo right here is for a Windows computer, so it'll look a little bit different if you have a Mac. So before mapping with any OSM data, you're going to need to authorize your account. You're going to want to go to Edit, then Preferences, select the connection setting, and click Authorize Now. Then you're going to want to log in with your OSM username and password. Click Authorize Now again, and then accept your access token. And you want to keep the Preferences window open, as we're going to go through a couple of different plugins. We're also going to want to set up remote control. And within the Preferences window that you have open, you want to select the remote control settings, click Enable Remote Control, click OK, and keep the Preferences window open. Now we're going to download a couple plugins. Within the Preferences window, you're going to want to select this blue puzzle piece square, and that's going to be your plugin icon. You're going to want to search for buildings and check the box next to buildings _ tools. You're also going to want to search for the utils plugin 2, Mapathoner, and FastDraw plugins. These plugins, we're going to cover all four of these today, and they're really useful when mapping, and we really highly recommend them. So now we're going to go through a couple mapping features. So these are all of the tools that we're going to be covering today. It looks like a lot, but I promise they're all very useful and you will use them in your regular mapping data. So these include unglue, merge nodes, split way, combine way, add nodes at intersections, create multi-polygons, replace geometry, using auxiliary lines with buildings, align buildings, the validation tool, mark scene, the search function, the relations tool, and then also our two of the plugins that I mentioned, Mapathoner and FastDraw. First, we're going to go through our unglue nodes, our unglue and merge nodes. To unglue, you press the G key on your keyboard, or it's also within the tools bar at the top left corner of your screen. You use this to separate two connected nodes or ways that share common nodes, and it's useful for detaching nodes that shouldn't be connected. For example, a road sharing a node with the corner of a building, or two buildings sharing a node. You don't want those to typically share a node because, if you have two buildings that share a node in real life, that doesn't really happen. Each building is separate from each other. Same goes for roads and buildings. And I'll demo all of this in JOSM. Next is merge nodes, which is the M key. And for this tool, order of selection matters. So the remaining node keeps the position of the last selected one. So you're going to want to click one, press Shift, and then click the second node, and the first node will move to the second node. For this tool, the object ID and history of the oldest node is preserved. So let's say someone mapped the first node and then someone mapped the second node. The oldest one will be preserved, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Next is split and combine ways. Split ways is using the P key, or again, all of these tools will be in the top left bar tools screen or in the more tools screen. You want to split away at the selected nodes. If it is part of a single way, just select the nodes that you want to split. If the node is shared by 2 or more ways, select the nodes and the way that you wish to split. If it's a closed way, you just select the 2 nodes. If you have the Auto Tools plugin, you can use a knife tool for this as well, but we won't be demoing that today. Next is the combine way, which is the C key. It combines several ways into one, and for this, order of selection does matter. The first node that you want gets selected goes to the second node, just like before, and the end nodes must be merged first. All right, and now I'm going to demo all of these within JOSM. All right. So first, I'm going to show you guys the unglue and merge. So as you can see here, I have an extra plugin that shows me all of these different errors, and you can see right here we have this road. I've clicked it and highlighted it. It's now turned red, and you can see it shares this node with this building. And this isn't normally what we would see, so we want to make sure that we unglue that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the road, press my Shift key, and then click on that node. And I'm going to go up to my tools, and I'm going to look for my unglue ways, just G. And now you see that error has gone away, but they still share this node. So I'm just going to click and move that node away. And you can see I've created 2 separate nodes. And now that looks more accurate. If I wanted to merge 2 nodes, for example, let's say I wanted to merge those 2 back together. What I would do is again, here order selection matters. So let's say I wanted to move this road over here. Again, we wouldn't do this, but just for the purpose of this demo, I will show it. So I'm going to click that first node, press my Shift key, and click that second node. Then I'm going to go up to my tools, look for my merge nodes, which is down here, merge nodes, or I can also use the M key. And you can see that node has shifted to that second node that I clicked. Now, again, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to make sure I press G and move that away. Next, I'm going to show you split and combine ways, which will be over here. All right, perfect. For this, as you can see, this street runs in 2 different directions, and I feel like these shouldn't be the same street. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the way. So as you can see, I have this highlighted, and then I want to split it at this node right here in the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Shift and select that node specifically as well. Then I'm going to go up to my Tools key. You can see the first one here is Split Way, or I can also use the P key. If I click that, it's split the way. Now, if I select this, this vertical one is now different from this horizontal street. And those are two different streets now. So now this looks like it should be one road. It's all connected. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to merge this highway onto this one. So I'm going to click that first node and I want it to move up to the central node here. So I'm going to press my shift key, click it, and then I'm going to press M. And that's merge that. Again, if I go up to the top left, I can also go to the merge node right here, and where M is, where I can hit M or click that. So now that this is all connected, I want to combine them together. So I'm going to click that first street right here, press shift, connect it to this, and then I'm going to go up to my tools. And the second one underneath the tools is combine way, or again, I can use the C key for a shortcut. I'm going to click that, and it's going to give me an error because the two streets were going in different directions. So it says the ways cannot be combined in their current directions. Do you want to reverse some of them? And I'm going to say yes, because we can reverse and combine them. And I want to make sure that I have showed this dialog again the next time, just in case if I map something wrong and I don't want to combine two things, it'll give me that error before I continue on mapping. So I'm going to press reverse and combine. So it says you're about to combine two objects, but these tags are conflicting. I'm going to press yes. And it's now merged all of these tags together. And if we look on my top left of the screen, the tags that we have all resemble the ones of, and they're all connected now. All right. Do I have any questions from the chat? All right, then I'm going to go back to our walkthrough.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye. I'll text you. Yeah. We can still. Of course. Yeah.
All right. Next, we're going to look at nodes at intersections and multi-polygons. To add nodes at intersections, you're going to want to hit the shift and the I key at the same time. It's part of that utils plugin tool. So it's going to be underneath the more tools menu. This tool will add missing nodes at intersections instead of at intersections of selected ways. To create, select the way and then click the tool or the shift plus I key. To create a multi-polygon, you're going to hit Control and B at the same time. And what this will do is it creates a multi-polygon from your selected ways. So if you create one polygon and then there's another, select both of them, and it will create a multi-polygon. So it'll define and add the relations for the inner and outer ways. And this is especially useful if you want to show a building that has, for example, a courtyard. So you can unselect that middle part of the courtyard that isn't actually building, and it's more clear that way. Next, we're going to show off replace geometry. I use this one a lot. I'm a big fan. It's part of the utils plugin tool again, so it's going to be underneath that more tools menu item when you download this plugin. It'll substitute the geometry of one object for another object that has the same exact data and history as much as possible. So let's say someone has mapped one building, but it's not very good. You want to replace it. So what you would do is you can move that aside and redraw it, and then you can select both of the buildings, press that Control, Shift, and G, or look for that replace geometry underneath the tools menu. And this will remove the old way and transfer the tags as well as the history of who mapped it onto the new way. So it's very useful. All right, I'll show these two in JOSM. Okay. So first I'm going to show multi-polygon. As you can see here, I have this building and we're going to pretend like this blue area right here is like a courtyard or something. And we want to make sure that isn't part of our building. So I have the outer area defined of the building. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto the left and click my building tool, my draw building. And then I'm going to just map out that blue area as best as I can. Perfect. And then I'm going to go back to my select tool. I'm going to click onto that building that I just made, press shift, click onto the existing one. You can see it gave me a little error that there's building inside of a building, but we're going to resolve that really quickly. So I'm going to go up to the top left where it says tools, and I'm going to go down to where it says create multi-polygon. Again, I can just use Control B, or since I'm on a Mac, Command B. But I'm going to click this instead. And you can see it's changed color. Now I have these this multi-polygon. And you can see if I select it, it selects this area, but it does not select that blue portion that I indicated was not part of the building. And this is the inner part, this is the outer part. It's really useful for stuff like that. Next, I'm going to show you guys an intersection. So you see these two roads intersect each other, but there isn't actually a node that they intersect at. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click it, go underneath more tools, and then press add nodes at intersection. And then you can see there was an intersection right here, so it added a node for me. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the first way, press shift, click the second way, go up to more tools. If my zoom moves, more tools. And then I'm going to go down toward, go at the very top towards add nodes at intersection. Again, I could also hit shift and I. And it created a node at that intersection. All right, do I have any more questions? All right. Then I'm going to go back to JOSM. Perfect. And I'm going to go through relations. Relations, this is used for a type of object that contains a group of other objects. Other objects includes points, lines, or polygons, and it's used to represent anything that requires more than one object to define. For example, that multi-polygon that we just did, a building with an inner courtyard. There are four main types of relations within OSM. There's multi-polygons, there's routes, boundaries, and restrictions. So it can also be used to map, for example, a bus route or a boundary for like a country boundary, for example. All right. For relations to create a multi-polygon, you're going to go to the relations editor window. If it's missing, you want to always add the building equals yes tag. After clicking OK, the object will be rendered as a building with two different courtyards, and I'll demo this. Next, you're going to want to draw and trace the outline of the building exterior and the interior courtyards. The order of this does not matter. but then you're going to want to select all of the polygons and click the tools and create multi-polygon. The object will be tagged as type equals multi-polygon if you're not using the building tool. Then you're going to have to add the tag of building equals yes. I do recommending downloading the buildings plugin because it'll automatically tag your buildings as building equals yes. All right, and I'll show you guys this in JOSM. So let's go back to this building right here, this multi-polygon that we made. Let's say I want to add another, actually, I'll show you a new one. So we're going to pretend like there's a imaginary building here, and this is our building. And it has two different courtyards that we're going to want to map. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to map them. So now that I have those two maps, I'm going to go back up to the left, click my select tool. And then I'm going to click the outer one, press shift, and click the two inner ones. Again, here, selection order does not matter. Then I'm going to go up to the top left to where it says tools. Go down to create multi-polygon. And it's created that multi-polygon. And you can see up here in my tags, I have that buildings plugin, so it automatically tagged my building equals yes. And then it also tagged the type as multi-polygon. And this is a relation that we made. Any questions on relations? Can be a little bit tricky, I know. All right. All right, and then now I'm going to hand it over to Sam.
All right, so I'll be conducting the second half of the presentation. All right. Sorry. So we are starting off with using auxiliary lines on buildings. So while mapping, there's a possibility you run into previous edits from other mappers where they have buildings that aren't symmetrical or aligned. And so you can use the square function in order to make sure that the building becomes properly mapped. So in order to do this, as seen in the diagram on the bottom, you are connecting parts of the building and using the square function by pressing Q in order to square the building. You can also use the square function to make sure that you can align all buildings on like a city block. So in this diagram, you can see that they select all of the buildings and they then select two reference nodes from a building that they think matches the alignment. And then they press Q and all of the buildings are adjusted.
Before you go on,
Another
Sam,
another base
just
feature.
click slideshow so you can go through the slideshow.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
Another base feature on JOSM is the validation tool. You can, every time you open JOSM and are looking at a task that you got from a tasking manager or just downloaded a certain area, you can run the validation results by clicking the validation check mark on the tool that will be on the right-hand side of the tab. And this will come up with all of the errors and problems that have arisen in this location. And it can be useful to find out if someone missed a tag or if buildings are overlapping or any sort of situations like that. And they are marked as 3 different categories. One are errors, which have high priority to fix, warnings, which are medium priority to fix, and other, which is lower priority to fix, and if you can fix if you can. And so we'll go to JOSM. To display. Sorry, I had an error, or I had an area where I had some things prepared, but I can't seem to find that. So we'll just go down to this area. So I've marked some buildings that I can get down here. And I'm using the building function. And I can create some outliers. And so then using the align auxiliary lines function, we select the building and 2 nodes, and then we can square the building, and it will align the outliers of the building to match. And for the square function to align all of the buildings, you select all of them using the shift, and then you can select 2 reference nodes, and you can press the Q button, which will square them all, and it will make them all aligned to the building that you want them to be referenced towards. And so we'll go back to the presentation. Okay. So the next plugin that we're going to be looking at is the Mark Scene Viewer. Mark Scene displays all the areas of the map that you've been viewing. It's useful for validating or reviewing an area with a missing spot that you might have missed during your validation or mapping. And so it pops up on the right-hand side of the tab, and it shows all of the areas where you have viewed during your session. And then there's also the search function. You can use this in order to search certain tags or certain nodes or high roads or certain addresses, or even like date of and times of when someone's made an edit. And to open this, there's different ways for Mac and Windows. You can use Control F or Command F for Mac. And it's also on the magnifying glass icon on the top of the JOSM window. And so when you do that, this will come up. There are certain presets that you can search by. It has some basic searches for you. And this right hand for results, it can select all of the results from your search. It can add them to a selection, or it can remove them from the selection. So it may be if you're looking for buildings with tags with buildings equals yes, you can select all of the buildings in a certain area and then search buildings equals yes with a remove from selection, which will just have all of the buildings without this tag. And so then you can, all of those buildings left selected, you can just do a quick edit of, or add a new tag with buildings equals yes, which we all want. And here are some sample or examples for some search functions. So you have your addresses, the type of way, names, the timestamp, like I said, and it can select buildings with different nodes. So we'll go to JOSM again. So the mark scene viewer, I don't think it actually will work because this is not like the selected downloaded area that I have. But as you scroll, it will leave a pink area in this bottom corner of areas where you have scrolled to during your and viewed during your mapping. So if you've, while validating and during a task, you didn't get to the middle of the, like bottom middle left of the square, you can see that areas where you have missed and can go there and make sure you didn't miss out on anything. And then the search function up here. So we can look buildings equals yes and search, and it will select all of the things that apply to that search. But there's also, it can remove from selection. So there's okay, and then you can do buildings equals select yes, remove from selection search, and it will leave this area that's untagged selected, and then you can just add the tag of building equals yes. And so now we're going to go back to JOSM or the presentation. So we're moving on to a different plugin. This is Mathothoner. can be used in order to create multiple buildings easier for mappers. So if there's buildings with similar or are the same building shape and size, you can use the Mapathoner in order to make the process faster. In order to download the Mapathoner, you will just go to Edit, Preferences, Plugin, and then search Mapathoner. And then once installed, it will be located on the top of your screen near the top of the right of your toolbar. And there are different tools for Mapathoner. There's the batch tools, which creates multiple structures of the same shape. It can do circular buildings. It can do orthogonal buildings with a node count divisible by 3, and L-shaped buildings with a node count divisible by 4. And it can also select duplicate buildings. So it will select all the buildings that overlap more than 50% with another building selected. It can select non-orthogonal buildings, which would then select all buildings that are similar or almost orthogonal and select them. And then you can, if they are orthogonal, you can edit that. And it can select all non-rounded buildings, which are all the buildings that are almost circled are selected. And then there's Fast Draw, which is a JOSM plugin that makes it easier to draw large shapes such as lakes or forest areas. Once installed, the tool found under the Mode menu item. To trace, hold down the space bar, click Enter to end tracing, backspace to delete last node, use up and down arrows to add or remove nodes from edit, and enter again to finish the feature. And this is an example. You enter first and to stop tracing and adjust all of the nodes with arrows, and then you can enter second to complete the feature, and it will have red nodes all the way around. And I think I might ask Naza to feature these features or plugins, because I don't have much experience with the Fast Draw tool.
That was Fast Draw and Mapathoner, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Do that. All right, y'all can see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm just going to find a good area here. All right. I'm going to start with the Mapathoner tool. And let's just say we want to map these buildings here. First, I'm going to go up to the top left to my Draw Nodes tool, or I can also hit A. And what I'm going to do is, since these are all, I'm going to pretend like these are all square buildings. I only have to map 3 of the nodes in the building. So I'm going to go and I'm going to trace these buildings. And I want to make sure that I have a right angle in there. So I hit 1, 2, and 3. And I can do this as much as I want, as long as my line does not intersect each other. So let's say I have these 4 buildings. Now it looks like I've just created a line almost half mapping each of these buildings. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go up to the top where it says Mapathoner. Click Mapathoner. And you can see it gives me each of these batch types of buildings. So this is a batch orthogonal building because they're all square. I'm gonna click that. And you can see they've mapped each of these buildings for me. Now, this building does have like a little bit of an intrusion. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on it, press my X key, add a node, and then I'm gonna do an extrusion there. Same with this one. If you're mapping any sort of buildings like these and they have an extrusion like that, you want to make sure that you add it in after using that Mapathoner tool. So I'm going to demonstrate it once more with some L-shaped buildings. All right, let's do this one here and this one here. So I'm going to, again, go to my left, click that Draw Nodes tool, or I can hit the A button. And this time I want to map 4 different nodes. And you want to make sure that you map over that L intrusion. So I'm going to click 2 nodes, and then I'm going to skip over that intrusion and then click 2 more nodes. Then again, I'm going to go up here. Since this is covered by a tree, I can kind of guess a little bit. Should be about there, there, and then I'm going to skip over that intrusion, there, and there. Then I can hit my escape key, go back and select that line that I just made, go up to the top to where Mapathoner is, and do batch L-shaped building. And you can see it created those intrusions for me. And this is really good if you want to map something really fast, or you want to map an area really fast, and you have a lot of these same cookie cutter type buildings all in a row. This area isn't particularly good for it, but it is great if you're in a city and a lot of those buildings are in the same shapes. Next, I'm going to do that fast draw tool. And I'm just going to do this area right here in the middle. I'm going to go and I'm going to go to my fast draw tool, where you can see there's this pencil on my left-hand side underneath the building. Or I can also hit Shift and F. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click once. Or sorry, I lied. I'm going to click that tool and I'm going to click and hold, and I'm just going to draw and trace that entire area that I want. So as you can see, as I move my mouse along, it creates a node every so often. And I'm just mapping this foresty area as well as I can. And this is really great for larger areas like this, especially if you know what it's defined as. And then I'm just gonna, once I'm done and I let go, you can see I have this free thing here, and I'm just gonna touch it up with that first point that I made. And then I'm gonna press escape. Oh, no. I'm gonna hit enter, I lied, not escape, but enter. And you can see it's created this area for me. And now I can tag it as I see fit. So I'm gonna go up to my right side, press add tag. And I'm gonna say that this is I'm actually gonna go up to my presets, search for a preset. I'm gonna say this is a forest. So you can see it gives me geography, nature forest. I'm gonna press select. I don't know the leaf type, don't know the leaf cycle, but I'm gonna press apply preset. And you can see it says land use equals forest, and it's given me a highlight of where it is. Again, this is really great if you have large mapping, if you're mapping large areas of like farmland or anything like that. We would highly recommend it. It also, I don't know if you saw, but once I had hit enter on my selection, after I had drawn all of these nodes, it readjusted the amount of nodes. So this area here, which is sort of flat, it cut off a couple nodes because they were unnecessary because it was a flat area. There's a flat line. So it's pretty smart like that. We would highly recommend you use it and play around with it. It's pretty fun to play around with. Okay, do I have any questions on either of those two? All right. Perfect. And I can close out the presentation then. Again, we'll send this whole presentation to you all after the meeting is over. This is a JOSM keyboard shortcut. I recommend you use it if you're learning all of the tools and all of the shortcuts. It can be really handy in speeding up your mapping process. This is the list of plugins that we recommend you install. Specifically, those first four, we really recommend you use those because they can be really helpful. And we've demoed all of them today.
You're
There's
still
lots
on
of resources.
JOSM. You're not on the presentation.
Oh, I'm not? Oh, okay. Let me share again. Okay, can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay. So this was the keyboard shortcut cheat sheet. And then this is the plugins list. So those first four: buildings, tools, utils plugin, faster on Mapathonr. We recommend you get those. They can be really useful, and we demoed all of them today. This is a list of resources. The missing maps advanced mapping, we really recommend you look through. It helped me a lot when I began to use JOSM, along with all of these other resources, and also just the JOSM wiki. If you're ever stuck on something, the JOSM wiki will probably have some sort of answer for you. So yeah, and thank you all for coming. If we have any last questions, stay on for a minute or two if there's any questions. If not, thank you all for coming. We really appreciated having you guys here, and hopefully you will join us next month for our validation training. We'll send out an email blast alongside the evite that you guys signed up for. And yeah, thank you all for coming.
Thank you for the presentation. All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.